Welcome back to the channel where I cover missing persons, unsolved cases, crime news, and more. Well, I'm sure most of you by now have watched, well, hopefully you have, if you have any interest in it, the Crash documentary on Netflix about Mackenzie Shirilla and her two victims, her boyfriend Dominic and their friend Davion. Yeah, it's quite the talk of the internet, not only through the true crime community, but pretty much all over Facebook, Instagram, uh, Twitter, which is X. Still having trouble calling it X. And let me tell you, my opinion is after looking at a lot of this stuff, and I also watched, there's another documentary that is available on a few, on Hulu, on Hulu, Amazon Prime, that went into some other information that a lot of folks didn't get to see on the crash because really it's about an hour and a half long and it doesn't cover everything, and it sort of leans a little bit, in my opinion, toward Mackenzie. Even though they did show the facts of that, there's just a lot more to it, and there's no way to go into everything, in an hour and a half documentary. That's for sure. But if you're not familiar with this case, I highly recommend you watch The Crash, and I'll also link to the other video title and where you can find it in the information of this video. Mackenzie Shirilla, she was 17 years old when she crashed her car into a brick building in Strongville, Ohio, back in July of 2022. Now, she was the lone survivor of the crash, but there was three folks in the vehicle. There was Mackenzie, Davion, and Dominic. They were in the vehicle. The two of them, unfortunately, her boyfriend and their friend, they died at the scene. Police initially thought it was a tragic accident, that maybe drugs, alcohol was involved, something to that extent. Maybe the car had some sort of an issue, but investigators quickly learned through the car's black box as well as some video evidence, which I'm going to play shortly here, revealed that, well, Mackenzie had her right foot on the gas accelerator pedal at full 100% pressure. And the brake pedal, she never applied it, ever. Now, they did find some mushrooms and a digital scale inside of Mackenzie's car, but like I said, she had none of that in her system. She was later found guilty in a bench trial. She opted to do a bench trial rather than a jury trial on 4 counts of murder, 4 counts of felonious assault, 2 counts of aggravated vehicular homicide, 1 count of drug possession, and 1 count of possessing criminal tools. The judge, well, she referred to her as, quote, a literal hell on wheels. She sentenced Mackenzie to 2 concurrent terms of 15 years to life, which honestly is not that long when she's being able to do them all together, and the possibility that she could get parole. But the judge did state that she doesn't think that Mackenzie's going to get out on parole, when, at least not initially. She is currently imprisoned at the Ohio Reformatory for Women in Marysville. She continues to appeal her conviction. She's already appealed it 3 times. The most recent appeal just happened back in March of this year, but she's been denied at every turn. She's currently eligible for parole in October of 2037. So let me play, there's a video, like I stated, with some information on the actual, sort of the best thing they do have from the crash. There were some cameras that they were able to get, some traffic cameras and such, And I will warn you, if you haven't seen this footage and you haven't watched the crash, it can be disturbing. So definitely just be aware of that. This is from a channel called Facts versus Feelings, and I will link to them as well in the information of this video. And they already have the graphic nature warning on the screen.
This is the crash impact video from the deadly crash that ended the lives of Davion Flanagan and Dominic Russo. The videos are from surveillance cameras along Progress Road.
They're playing it again. So that is Mackenzie right there. You see how cautiously, normally, she's taking that turn. And the next thing you see is her speeding full tilt toward this building, this brick building. This channel did an amazing job putting this together, so definitely check them out. Give them a subscription if you would. So they also have some very good information up on their video, including here: murder in Ohio is defined as purposely causing the death of another. Okay, a person commits murder by purposely causing the death of another, and Shirilla concedes that the only issue in dispute was whether Shirilla crashed the vehicle purposely. She argues that there was no evidence that she acted purposefully. We disagree. Okay? And the more you look at the evidence, there's just no way this was an accident. And the theory that her slipper got caught under the accelerator, yeah, I'm not buying that. She would have found a way to get it out, hit the brake. Brake was never applied. And they also stated that it looked like the vehicle was pushed into neutral, back to drive, and into neutral again. So I agree with the belief that Dom and Davion, who had removed their seatbelts, they were trying to stop the vehicle and potentially get out of the vehicle. And the only one that survived, well, was Mackenzie, and she was the only one wearing her seatbelt. I don't think that is a coincidence. Now, did she want to take her own life? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I'm curious you guys' thoughts as well. But, you know, the more I thought about it, it's like God's telling her she's going to have to answer for this and think about this for the rest of her life. So, well, she was horrifically injured, but she survived. So I don't think that, I think she survived obviously because of the seatbelt, but I think that she's still here to get justice for the two victims. And here's some information. I'm pausing it so I can read it. The crash site. There is misinformation spread on both sides. And yes, this is true. There are mostly groups and folks online who believe that Mackenzie did it. But there's actually a group on Facebook run by her mom, and we haven't even gotten into mom and dad yet, okay, that wants to free Mackenzie. So yeah, there's a lot of back and forth on that, and she does have a few folks on her side. The prosecution kept out evidence that progress was a cut through. That's the street. It was mentioned in the trial several times that progress was known as a cut through. The prosecution's exact wording was, now here is in red, it says directly from the state's presentation, progress was not a shortcut. Progress was out of the way. So this is technically true. It adds a few minutes to the route, so it would not be considered a shortcut, but would be considered a cut through. So for Mackenzie to go home that way, it's not a shortcut. It's not something that you would normally do at 5:30 in the morning if you're just trying to get home faster. It's a cut through, not a shortcut. Had been to the crime scene just 3 days prior. Yeah, there's evidence that she previously went there. Again, it's not an area, it's industrial, it's not an area that Mackenzie would normally be driving through. Familiar with the dynamics of the road, turns onto Progress Drive, slow turn using her blinker. Remember? So that turn, when she turned, she was going normally. So that showed that she wasn't impaired at all. And she was going the speed limit, doing the legal, everything going on. I think that all of them had their seatbelts on at that point. Accelerated her speed not long after that, and she was controlled driving. I think that she was controlled throughout the entire thing. I think her turn was controlled, and I think her hitting the gas pedal and pushing it down to 100, up to 100 miles per hour, that was also controlled. Mackenzie controlled it. She said, you know what? I'm going to crash this car. And she threatened to do it. She threatened to do it before. The argument was that Mackenzie did know Progress Road. She had just been there days prior. She knew the dynamics of that road. It is long, 3/4 of a mile, has several curves, is very bumpy, and has a stop sign before ending in a T section. The argument was that Mackenzie made a slow and controlled turn off the main road onto Progress. The accelerator was then pressed all the way down, but still maintains control. She stays in her lane while navigating the curves and bumps in the road and while reaching dangerously high speeds. It took the car more than 20 seconds to reach those speeds. That gave Mackenzie time to change her mind, but she never tried to brake or take her foot off of the accelerator. If she had, it would have triggered a fail-safe in the car. The argument is that all of these things, plus the EDR report, crash analysis and crash reconstruction report, surveillance footage, and knowing the dynamics of that road, support that Mackenzie acted purposefully. There are more items that will be added to support this. So I agree. She knew exactly what she was doing. I think something happened in that car. There was an argument. Did Dom say that he was going to leave her? It had definitely something to do with Mackenzie and Dominic, her boyfriend. And sadly, Davion, he was in the back seat. And from what I understand, she did not want him to come. And then Dom said, hey, let's bring him back over. So sadly, he was in the car when she decided to take Dom's life and take hers potentially, which she didn't do. So here is a map of the building, stop sign, and this is the route that she traveled. And granted, remember that term before, earlier on, if she was still controlled, which she was controlled, but if she was not upset, angry, whatever her issue was, she would have made that turn right, right here. She would have made that right turn instead of going straight into the sign and into the building. All controlled, but Mackenzie, I just believe she was pissed, she was upset, and it had everything to do with Dominic. It had to do with her boyfriend. Period. Here's another map that they are posting of that area as well. The crash reconstruction. The speed in front of Parma movers while navigating a curve, 98.1 miles per hour. 98 miles per hour. Yikes, that's there's no reason to be going 98 miles per hour unless you're a NASCAR driver. And the location of the Parma movers was 236 Progress Drive. It was approximately 0.2 miles from the crash site. And it says the driver is maintaining control of the vehicle and the wheel around the curve by Parma movers. Again, it's made sure that the crash reconstruction and the evidence showed she was in control. She was in control from the moment she got behind the wheel that morning. And this is just showing some more information. It is harder to read. Let me see if I can read that for you guys here. The top image here, it says the above image displays a screenshot taken from Lincoln Parma Movers Inc. Camera's vantage point at the 6-second time interval. The Toyota, that's Mackenzie's car, can be seen continuing west on Progress Drive before disappearing from the frame as it travels toward the crash site. And again, the driver is maintaining control of the vehicle and the wheel around the curve. Not once did she lose control of that car. And this one here is obviously the scene after the fact. It says this image was taken directly from the investigation file from the grand jury PowerPoint presentation. So this channel creator did not add anything to the image. So this was all as they had presented to the grand jury. The Toyota went slightly off the road and aimed directly at the corner of the Pliteco building as evidenced by the tire tracks. Again, fully in control, and there's no braking at all, and there's no skid marks. Because if you are in an accident, you're going towards something, and you realize you're going to hit something, what do you normally do? You hit the brakes. She wasn't trying to stop. She was aiming. I really believe she was aiming to hit that brick wall. The only thing I don't know is if she had hoped to take her own life as well, or if she really thought that they would just be injured. Those are the couple questions I don't know. But at the speed she was going, I mean, I'm still shocked that she's alive. Here's another slide here. Read it to you guys. The top picture here, it states, the above image displays a screenshot taken from the Western camera's vantage point at the 5:39 and 42 second a.m. time interval. The Toyota has continued its western movement, traveled through the intersection, struck the sign in front of the Plydco building, and collided with the eastern side of Plydco's commercial structure. And it says that this image, taken directly from the investigation file that the grand jury saw in the PowerPoint. Again, the evidence was very, very strong against Mackenzie in this case. And this one here is some more images. Obviously, these are all from the slide presentation that the state presented to the grand jury. The top one states the above image displays a screenshot from the southern camera's vantage point at the 5:39 and 41 second a.m. time interval. The Toyota can be seen entering the camera frame from the left, traveling west on Progress Road. So if you look at these, they're marked in that little red box, and the bottom one has it as well. It's hard for me to read what they have written on the bottom screenshot, but you can see the vehicle is moved from there. So looks like they had quite a bit of some screenshots with their PowerPoint to the grand jury. And this is this image was taken directly from the investigation file again, from the jury PowerPoint. The point of impact. So aim for the corner, and then she hit right there. And look at all the pieces of her vehicle. I mean, wow. And I'm not going to go through the body cam image from when the police came to the scene because even though it is blurred, it's really disturbing. It truly, truly is. But law enforcement, as well as the firefighters and paramedics, this was a horrific scene for them, for sure. Events leading to impact. The driver slows down, uses blinker, and makes a controlled turn onto Progress off of the main road. Once off of the main road, the gas pedal is pressed to the floor. I don't know about you guys, but I have never pressed my gas pedal that hard. I mean, yeah, we've all increased our speed to put some gas on. We're trying to get get around somebody, past somebody, but pressed to the floor? 100 miles per hour? No, never. The car takes 20 to 25 seconds to reach speeds of 90 plus miles per hour. The driver maintains their lane and navigates the wheel along the curves down the very bumpy quarter-mile road. She was in control for everything until she hit that wall. The car approaches the stop sign at the T section and is traveling about 100 miles per hour. Now the wheel is turned toward the right and goes off the road into the grass right before the stop sign. Once in the grass, the car is now lined up with the Plydco sign and continues. 100% pressure applied to the accelerator. There are no attempts to decrease speed or brake. Not even once did she take her foot off the pedal, hit the brake, and if she did get her slipper caught or something, she would have had some attempt to hit the brake, done something. Never happened. Someone in the car manually shifts the car into neutral, then someone manually shifts the car back into drive. I think that one or both of the boys did that. I believe that they did that. They were trying to get control of the car, and obviously I don't know if they had their seatbelts on before, but they definitely took them off, probably trying to get control of that car. The car's safety system kicks in and applies the brake light, trying to avoid impact. The car hits the Plydco sign, continues, and then crashes into the building. The driver's foot is still pressed all the way down on the accelerator pedal on impact. If you're going to hit a wall and you're not trying to hit a wall, you're gonna hit the brake, take your damn foot off the gas. That's why I'm saying, Mackenzie, plan on hitting that wall. On impact, the floorboard buckles around the right side of the accelerator. This causes a portion of the slipper to get stuck on the accelerator pedal. So this is where her slipper gets stuck on the pedal, guys. The slipper was solely stuck by the deformation of the floorboard that surrounded the slipper. Didn't happen until after the fact. This happened as a result of the impact from the driver's foot still remaining on the pedal upon impact. It would not have resulted in any type of unwanted throttle application. It's a slipper. It would not have gotten stuck on there. It wasn't like she was wearing boots, some kind of hard shoe. It was a slipper. And here is some of the data. Mackenzie Shirilla did not apply the brakes and was in control of the vehicle. And here is the event data recorder. The black box of the car, thank God for that. Really gave her away in a lot of ways. There's a lot more evidence against her, but the crash reconstruction and her car's event data recorder, that proved everything against Mackenzie. See, brake oil pressure and shift position. This is where it shows it all here. Steering, the rate. It's got all this information here. The investigators have it all. And here's some more data here. If you guys are interested, again, this is pre-crash data and that sort of stuff. A lot of technical things, but if you look at it, it's pretty explanatory. So if you want to freeze any of these, obviously you can, and take a look at them if you're interested. And here's another one, including some screenshots up here. On October 20th, 2022, I made contact with Classic Toyota of Mentor and inquired about the safety features of the 2018 Toyota Camry and how the safety systems worked. A vehicle sheet was run through the Toyota service lane system to determine the safety features that were equipped on the Camry involved in the crash. The vehicle was equipped with per the Toyota master technician, as well as various Toyota demonstration videos, these systems, and they use various radar and camera systems to provide assistance with crash avoidance. Most of these features involve slowing, some sort of slowing, or all of the vehicle's tires to maintain control and or a safe distance from a vehicle or object ahead of the Toyota. When these systems become active, the vehicle will not increase speed but rather decrease speed. As a result, the system will activate the rear brake lights to indicate possible slowing of the vehicle to other motorists, even if the driver is not pressing on the brake pedal. Toyota Safety Sense P works at speeds of 7 miles per hour to 110 miles per hour, but it does not work with objects that appear in front of the vehicle without proper detection. With the availability of the Safety Sense P system and the extreme driver input from the vehicle prior to the collision, the brake light activation is likely the result of the safety systems working to avoid impact ahead or return the vehicle to a straight orientation for the direction of travel. The unwanted acceleration theory. Unwanted acceleration is a known problem with Toyota that could have happened. This theory has been thrown out a lot. It has even been used as proof, and that's in quotes, that Mackenzie is not guilty when there is no evidence to support it. Mackenzie's car is a 2018 Toyota Camry and is nowhere near the year range of the affected vehicles. There was not a recall issued on her vehicle for this. So there you go. It does not apply. There was a forensic inspection that tested for defects on this type of thing and showed that there were no mechanical defects that contributed to the crash. And you can see below here that the model years of this issue, 2007 to 2010. There was a recall for Mackenzie's vehicle, but that was for a vacuum pump. It can cause a sudden loss of braking assistance. That supplies the vacuum to the power brake booster. A failure in the pump will result in a hard brake pedal. It will not result in a complete loss of brakes. It will result only in a brake pedal that feels hard compared to the power brake feel. So that was not a problem, even though there was a recall for it. And it states, however, her car had been adequately repaired for the recall prior to the crash. So that, first of all, it wouldn't have caused this issue. And second of all, well, it was fixed. And it has all the information here that all of her repairs were done. And here's looks like some photos of inside the car, and there's her slipper. The throttle rod linkage that is attached to the accelerator pedal, which is a linkage between the pedal and the accelerator pedal position sensor, was evaluated. The rod had separated from the back of the accelerator pedal during the impact event. This was a direct result of the floor buckling and twisting, resulting in the linkage becoming disassociated from the floor-mounted accelerator pedal. The linkage was examined and found to show evidence of distortion from impact, although it was still capable of normal function. The linkage was videotaped, showing it was able to move up and down freely and was not binding or sticking in any fashion that would have resulted in unwanted acceleration. As previously described, even if the accelerator pedal would have been stuck, the application of the brake pedal with the partially applied or fully applied accelerator would revert the vehicle into a limp mode because the brake was never pressed. She only had that foot on that accelerator. The examination of the accelerator pedal within the vehicle showed that the floor surrounding the pedal was buckled and partially surrounded the accelerator pedal. The accelerator pedal was still in normal position. As part of the evaluation into the matter, I did review a photograph where the driver's slipper was found on the accelerator. The floorboard buckling around the right side of the accelerator would have trapped a portion of the slipper. The slipper in and of itself would not have resulted in any type of unwanted throttle application. The slipper was solely stuck by the deformation of the floorboard that surrounded the slipper assembly as a result of the impact event. It only got stuck after she hit the brick wall. In conclusion, the driver slows down, uses blinker, and makes a controlled turn onto progress off of the main road. Once off the main road, the gas pedal is pressed to the floor. The car takes 20 to 25 seconds to reach speeds of 90 plus miles per hour. The driver maintains their lane and navigates the wheel along the curves down the very bumpy quarter-mile road. The car approaches the stop sign at the intersection and is traveling about 100 miles per hour. Now the wheel is turned toward the right and goes off the road into the grass right before the stop sign. Once in the grass, the car is now lined up with the Plico sign and continues. 100% pressure applied to the accelerator. There are no attempts to decrease speed or brake. Feel like that should be highlighted and bolded. Someone in the car manually shifts the car into neutral, and someone manually shifts back into drive. I think that was Dom or Davion, and she was the one putting it back into drive. The car's safety system kicks in and applies the brake light, trying to avoid impact. The car hits the Plico sign, continues, then crashes into the building. The driver's foot is still pressed all the way down on the accelerator pedal on impact. That wouldn't happen if this was an accident. That's why it's not an accident, it's a crash. On impact, the floorboard buckles around the right side of the accelerator. This causes a portion of the slipper to get stuck on the acceleration pedal. The slipper was solely stuck by the deformation of the floorboard that surrounded the slipper. This happened as a result of the impact event from the driver's foot still remaining on the pedal upon impact. it would not have resulted in any type of unwanted throttle application. So I think that that evidence is that's enough, and it was enough, well, to convict her. And like I said, there's a lot more that she threatened Dom before, all sorts of other things going on. I think that again that Dom was going to leave her. I think that he finally told her it was over, and well, she couldn't take that. He was part of her image. She needed him for her image. I think that she was obsessed with Dom, and I think she really wanted to control him, and she did. She really did. And she decided that, well, if she couldn't have and keep Dom, nobody else could have him. And we've heard of this sort of thing before in other crimes. And I do think that Davion was off. It's sad and awful. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And he became the second victim of Mackenzie Shirilla. So I am curious you guys' thoughts. I would like to start going through the jail calls, and if you guys are interested, we could talk more about her parents, because I think that gives us a really good time to talk about mom and dad, especially considering that they're both enablers, in my opinion. They never were really parents to Mackenzie, and they still aren't. I think she ran their house. I think that they wanted to be her friend, and you can't be your kid's friend. You have to be their parent. If you want to be their friend, you do that when they're an adult. You don't do that while you're raising them. Mackenzie was never told no, I don't think. She was never told she can't have something. And her parents knew she was on some rugs and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and they just didn't seem to care. I mean, and it's a sad thing. I know my parents wouldn't have let me do even a quarter of the things that Mackenzie was doing. And I don't know. I mean, again, your parents need to be a parent first. I mean, I wasn't friends with my parent. I'm not friends with my dad as much, but my mom and I, we became really good friends as I got older. But I was after high school. I was in college. And even probably after that. You can't be friends with a kid. Period. So let me know you guys' thoughts in the comments, and if you'd like me to go through the jail calls, because I love going through jail calls. I really, really do. And there's a number of them out there, and they are very interesting to hear. All right, guys, I hope you have a great rest of the day, and most of all, stay safe.